think they take this serious. I think it's a big game to them, and they don't understand that the more confusion and the more back and forth that we do, no one suffers but the people of the village.
Shut down, and that is why the building is closed.
Well, we were advised by the attorneys to close the building. The building shouldn't be open. The risk.
To be honest, the meeting's turbulent start did not surprise anybody. Drama is not unusual in South suburban politics, but this one appeared to represent a whole new level of dysfunctional supervision. Tiffany Henyard, known as the supermayor because to her high-profile jewelry duties, set the tone for the evening with her typical fiery excitement. This was not a ruling, it was a spectacle. And if you thought that the conference's goal was to find solutions to issues, think again. It seemed like a soap opera, a wrestling match, and a reality show all together when Henyard attacked and brought the meeting to order, accusing the trustees of neglecting their responsibilities, skipping meetings, and generally undermining the township. Due to your absence from a board meeting, we are now without insurance. She once said that she was so upset that the meeting had devolved into finger-pointing and pointless arguments, rather than a collaborative effort to address the township's and its employees' exposure because of the lack of insurance, which had been a serious issue for weeks. But Henyard's critics reacted quickly, accusing her of manipulating politics. One of Henyard's most ardent detractors, Chris Gonzalez, noted that she could have obtained insurance on her own if she had so desired, and that she doesn't really need the trustees' help. Apart from the personal grievances, she is instead using the situation as leverage to further her own goals. Henyard and Gonzalez did not always disagree. When Gonzalez joined the list of candidates supported by State Senator Napoleon Harris, Ed Henyard's opponent in a vigorous Democratic campaign, their relationship deteriorated, even though he was the one who first recommended her for the supervisory role. Beyond repair, Henyard's frustration was evident throughout the discussion, and she didn't hold back at one point when she called the trustees stupid and accused them of purposefully undermining the township's budget. She is also aware that the issue has only become worse as a result of the treachery. It will be your responsibility to learn the proper technique, not allowed. Despite budget approval, it failed to achieve any of its goals and served as a forum for Henyard's grievances. The trustees then launched an assault on the people who had hoped that their elected representatives would finally act. Once again, we were disappointed. One attendee compared the meeting to a full-fledged soap opera, while another said it resembled a WBB match more than a government conference. They weren't entirely incorrect, however, considering the astounding level of dysfunction on exhibit. It is about hypocrisy in democracy. I think it's blatantly hypocritical. For those there, the conference was more than simply a live broadcast. It was a show, and the comment section swiftly devolved into a battleground of viewpoints. Henyard's fans applauded her for refusing to back down in the face of what they saw as trustee interference, while the detractor reprimanded her for starting the commotion in the first place. This is the reason why Thornton Township hasn't advanced. She is the only one trying to clean up this mess, according to one commentator. What are you to do, however, when everyone is against you? The citizens' disagreements are a mirror of the board's own dysfunction, and there is no obvious way forward. Another critic said there is too much drama and not enough action. As long as these conflicts continue, the township's growing debt without adequate insurance will simply exacerbate the drama. The stakes are quite high. But rather than addressing these urgent issues, the board seems to be embroiled in a never-ending struggle for control, with Henyard at its center. Every day, the legal and financial risk associated with unprotected municipal assets, vehicles, and activities increases. Employees are unaware of their chances of maintaining their jobs during the holidays. Inhabitants who need on-emergency support programs, such food assistance and medical transportation. Just another day in Thornton Township. One participant shrugged to sum up the weariness and discontent felt by many. Henyard has infuriated her critics by hosting a bingo night in the midst of this predicament. Even worse is the normalcy of this disorder. Some residents now expect gatherings to devolve into shouting matches and personal attacks, with little hope of substantive change. One guy said, "How can you prioritize bingo when your town is collapsing?" Regardless of her reason, supporters claim that Henyard is attempting to preserve a sense of community amid difficult times. However, A lot of people were dissatisfied with how the event looked and thought the leadership was more concerned with creating diversions than with finding solutions. Residents in Thornton Township, particularly the elderly who rely on vital services like food programs and transportation, are in grave risk. Without adequate insurance, these programs may cease operations, depriving vulnerable people of vital assistance. Although CRI says she is more concerned with political intrigue than finding answers to the township's urgent problems, Henyard said he wants to retain employees and prevent layoffs. The issue continues. Locals are upset with the ongoing dispute and the lack of noticeable progress, believing that Beyond Services is damaging the township's image and that the problem is motivated more by personal grudges than by true care for the community. Public opinion is dominated by action rather than theatrics, since the township's future is at stake. The subject of Henyard's leadership is still debatable. She is seen by some as confrontational and unyielding, but by others as a strong, resolute leader who is prepared to stand up for what she believes in. The idea that Henyard seeks total control over choices was further reinforced during the meeting when she rejected a trustee's offer of a financial settlement, notwithstanding Harris's denial of any wrongdoing. Henyard spat with Harris, whom she blames for her exclusion from the Democratic ballot for supervisor, has caused tensions in Thornton Township politics to rise. Numerous lawsuits have been filed against him and the Democratic Party, claiming unfair tactics and suppression of voting. Some contend that these arguments are a diversion from the actual problems confronting the town, even if she has portrayed them as being for the residents of Ford. Since becoming mayor of Dalton in 2021, Henyard has been involved in a number of scandals. These have included a federal probe into her usage of township finances and accusations of financial mismanagement. The lawsuits are only the most recent development in this turbulent time. In a recent social media post declaring her intention to run for re-election, she remained stubborn in spite of her difficulties. According to Henyard, the performance will continue, but Henyard's political future is far from certain, since Jason House, a senior trustee who has been spearheading the fight against Henyard and Doughton, has declared his intention to emphasize ethics reform and rebuild community confidence in his own campaign. Her name has also been removed off the Democratic supervisorial ballot. According to House's statement, this is about doing what's right for the people, not about personal power. While some viewed John as a conscious attempt to consolidate power, others saw him as just another example of the political gamesmanship that has afflicted the township for years. Meanwhile, Henyard's followers are working to get her on the ballot in Thornton Township and Doughton, but they have encountered opposition wherever they go. Just last week, Henyard's supporters protested that several of her rivals had been taken off the vote. Residents are left wondering whether the municipality would finally get insurance as the issue develops. There has been a mixed response from the public to the meeting. Many have expressed amazement and dismay at the degree of disruption that Civic has caused. According to one homeowner, she doesn't need the trustees' help. By acquiring insurance, she hopes to deceive the board into paying her bill. The budget's approval and, more crucially, the leadership's ability to set aside their differences long enough to rule are both uncertain. People's growing dissatisfaction with their elected representatives, who many believe are more interested in playing politics than in working in the public interest, is reflected in these comments. Henyard is unaffected by the criticism and has pledged to defend herself against what she considers to be baseless charges and to keep fighting for the people of Thor Township. However, it is uncertain whether she will be able to carry out that commitment. Locals are now dealing with the aftermath of yet another contentious meeting in the hopes that their leaders will at last find a way to proceed. Warm and fuzzies. What do you think? Drop your thoughts in the comment section below. And if you don't want to miss out on the hottest celebrity news, make sure to subscribe to Daily Finder.